What's going on, everybody? David here, back with another video. So we're going to do the late night update. So it's going to be, we're going to talk about, I actually posted a video earlier today, and I talked a little bit about the stimulus checks and the more targeted stimulus checks and why at this point it's not more targeted. Right now it's $75,000 for individual, $150,000 per couple. And so I want to talk about where this came from as far as this more targeted talk, and why I think it's going to stay the same. I think it's going to stay 75,000 and 150,000. That's what we're going to talk about today. But first off, you guys can do me a favor. Please hit the like button. It does help with the YouTube algorithm. Also, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that little bell notification. That way you'll get notified anytime we put out a video. Okay, so let's go back to the CARES Act. So we're talking March of last year. CARES Act was signed. And then a couple months later, they had the HEROES Act. The HEROES Act got approved in the House. And when it got approved in the House, it was May 15th. It was sent over to the Senate. The Senate didn't do anything with it. But during that time, Mitch McConnell started talking about he wanted to pause. He didn't want to move forward with another stimulus package. And the whole talk was CARES Act first, and then we're going to have another stimulus package with another round of stimulus checks. But Mitch McConnell, he wanted to pause, so he paused in May, he paused in June, and he paused most of July. And during that time, late June, you started hearing politicians come out, both Democrats and Republicans. Some moderate Democrats were saying the same thing. This next stimulus check needs to be more targeted. They were a little upset that you had some people that received stimulus checks and they put it in their savings. They didn't spend the money right away. And so they started talking about that it needs to be more targeted. But they never explained what that meant. The only thing that we heard is, okay, well, you know, we'll give it to people making $45,000 or $50,000. That was the talk. Never any details. And so we know late July, that's when the Republicans came around and said, okay, let's go with another stimulus package. And then it took us until December, late December, to actually see that happen. And so when we saw the stimulus package in December, it was a $600 stimulus check. And at first, they didn't even want to have stimulus checks at all. But they agreed on the $600 stimulus check. Now, the $600 stimulus check, believe it or not, it was more targeted. Because it was $600 and not $1,200, the formula that they used for the $1,200 meant that individuals making less than $75,000 would receive a full check. But if you made between $75,000 and $99,000, you would receive a portion of the stimulus check. And it would phase out at $99,000. But guess what? Since the $600 stimulus check was less than that $1,200 stimulus check, the formula made the cutoff different. So now the cutoff was less than $87,000. So that was more targeted. And so what we saw happen when former President Trump said, hey, you know what? I think it should be $2,000. This is before he signed the $900 billion package in December. He said, I think it needs to be $2,000. And so Nancy Pelosi said, sure, $2,000 sounds good to me. She brought it to the floor in the House. They approved it, sent it over to the Senate, where it died in the Senate. But during that time in the Senate, you started hearing politicians come out and say, well, this would mean that people make, because of the formula, because it's more money now, it's not $1,200, now it's $2,000. People making $300,000, $350,000, a couple making $350,000 could qualify for a stimulus check. But we're talking about a very, very small number of people that would qualify for that, or families that would qualify for that. But nonetheless, that was the argument. And so they continued. You heard more and more Republican senators saying, no, we can't be giving stimulus checks to the rich, all this stuff, right? Now that carried over for some reason to now. And now we're still talking about it needs to be more targeted. And now you have Senator Joe Manchin, who's a Democrat, he's a moderate. He's saying the same thing. It needs to be more targeted. Even though it's not $2,000, it's not a $2,000 stimulus check anymore. And that same criteria doesn't apply to this $1,400 stimulus check. Yes, it's $200 more than the $1,200 stimulus check, but it's not $800 more like a $2,000 stimulus check would have been. And so if anything, that formula would make a few more people qualify for this stimulus check. And so right now you have politicians that are just, I think they're just talking. They just want to hear themselves speak. They want to have an out. So when they vote against this stimulus package and against stimulus checks for the American people, they can say, well, you know what? I voted against it because it wasn't targeted enough. But realistically, they voted against it because they didn't want stimulus checks for the American people, and they needed to have a reason to explain to the American people why they didn't want to vote for it. And that's all it is right now. So I think that 75 for individual, 150 for couple, that's going to stick. And the main reason it's going to stick is because it's already been tested. It's already been out there. And I think Bernie Sanders said this best. It would be terrible if the Biden administration came in and now cut the amount of people that would receive the next round of stimulus checks. That would be terrible. And it would look bad. And even though you're giving out stimulus checks, you're still cutting people out. So that's why I don't think that they're going to go that route. I don't think they can go that route. And not to mention, these stimulus checks are going to be going out around tax time. So if you really want to make things complicated, you change who qualifies. And now the IRS, they can't just hit the button anymore and just send out checks. Now they have to redo everything and then send out checks because some people won't be receiving those checks. So right now, I think it's going to stay 75,000, 150,000. And a lot of these politicians that are talking right now, including Senator Joe Manchin, he's just talking. And he's going to come on board because he has more to lose in this situation than he does to gain. Because we're looking at a situation where you have President Biden will be there for the next 3 years. You don't want to get on his bad side because you're going to need stuff for West Virginia. You're going to need infrastructure for West Virginia. You're going to need bridges and roads and all that good stuff. So you don't want to make this an issue up front. And it looks bad for the people in West Virginia who want stimulus checks, who need stimulus checks. You could be that one person that keeps them from getting the help they need. Not to mention all the other help, because if he votes no, it's not going to be just for the stimulus checks. It's going to be for the whole package. That means all the money that could be going to all these states, going to West Virginia, it's not going to go. So at this point, just my opinion, I think it's just talk. And they haven't come to the table with anything, okay, we're going to target it. This is how we're going to target it. They haven't come to the table with that. Just because you throw a top line number out there what's the formula? What's the research that you've done to tell you that 50,000 is the right number? So I want to know what you guys think about this. So in the comment section, let me know down below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.